Hi, I'm Ron Halbritter, Technical Advisor for Legendary Auto Interiors, and I'd like to welcome you to Legendary Studio, where today we're going to show you the proper way to prepare your seat frame with our Installation Kit 1, which is going to include our burlap, our 2-inch felt around the outside perimeter, and the paper-coated listing wire, enough to do our seat cover installation. We're going to show you the necessary adjustments you're going to need to make to our universal foam kit for 1962 through 1965. And today's example for our seat cover installation will be our 1963 Sport Fury. Now you'll be able to use this video as a guideline for installing any 1962 through 1965 A, B, and C body models. So together with Legendary Auto Interiors and Randy Brown, we're going to show you why Legendary Auto Interiors is #1 with collectors, restorers, and enthusiasts worldwide.
Our first step will be to put a layer of burlap over the top of our seat springs. You want to space the hog rings out about every 3 to 4 inches apart. You want to anchor it along the back side and then pull it tight along the front edge and the side edges. This is going to prevent the foam from working its way down in between the seat springs. It's going to give you a little more support. You want to carefully notch out the burlap in the area of the hinges. Now you want to pull some tension as you're attaching the hog ring. You want to go through the burlap and around the seat springs. When you get to the corners, you can fold the burlap up underneath each other and then place a hog ring in there. You want to repeat the process on the front edge and the side edges. After your burlap is attached, you want to come through, attach 2-inch felt along the outside perimeter along the front and side edges. This will provide some extra protection so the seat springs don't wear through your seat cover and your molded foam kit. Our next step will be to measure the insert section. You want to measure from welt to welt where the insert pocket tucks down through the molded foam. You'll see Randy's pointing to the insert listings that tuck down through the foam. So you have to measure that width and then trim your molded foam accordingly. Now this is a 1962 to 1965 universal foam kit, so we need to make our measurement from our center point out and then cut channels and then cut the front section of the collar off of there because the insert section of this particular model seat needs to lay flat. Now you'll see Randy's using a foam saw, but you can use a pair of scissors or a sharp razor blade or mom's old carving knife. And you want to cut all the way down through the foam on your side channels, the ones that run front to back, and then that front collar you want to trim off and make sure it's level with the molded insert section of the foam. Now we set our molded foam back on top of our seat frame. Take a black Sharpie and draw some lines down on top of the burlap. This is where we'll need to attach our paper-coated listing wire. Now we make a 90-degree bend at the ends of our paper-coated listing wire so that listing wire does not travel. Now you want to make sure that those bends tuck underneath the 2-inch felt on the front side so it doesn't prematurely wear through your seat cover. You want to follow the same procedure on the opposite side as well. Now you want to take a peek down through. Once you set your molded foam on there, you should be able to see the paper-coated listing wire through the molded foam. Now our next step will be to slide the paper-coated listing wire into the insert pockets sewn into the seat cover. You want to make those about the same length as the pocket that is sewn into the seat cover. And you want to double check your measurements to make sure that all of your cuts are right. Make sure your foam is on the seat frame symmetrically. And we mark our seat cover on the center so we can assure that the seat cover is onto our seat frame symmetrically. Now we want to tuck those paper-coated listing wires and the pockets down through the molded foam and then align our seat cover up front to back. You want to make sure that the piping rides along the front edge and the back edge before we install any hog rings. Now we want to space these hog rings about every 3 to 4 inches apart. Normally 3 to 4 hog rings per side is going to be plenty to keep that anchored in the center portion. Now after you attach both sides, you want to come over to the back hinge area and make sure that your seat cover lines up with the holes that are cut in the rear carpeted section. You'll see where we peek down through the molded foam area where the listing pocket is tucked down into the seat foam. Our next step will be to roll the edges of the vinyl over the edge of the molded foam and our seat frame. Now you stretch the vinyl over the outside edge of the foam and around to the bottom side of the seat springs. You can compress the foam while you're wrapping that edge of vinyl over. It'll be a little easier and less stressful on the vinyl when you compress the foam. And you want to carefully wrap it over the edge. Work the foam up underneath the seat cover, and then carefully roll the edges of the vinyl over the edge. You want to secure it with a hog ring to make sure it doesn't roll back up on you. Now you want to make sure that the piping is all going in the same direction, so you can gently massage the vinyl as you're working it towards the rear section of the seat. You want to move the opening over the top of the area where the seat top connects to the seat bottom. Flip it over on its face. Wrap the vinyl over the edge of the foam, and you start hog ringing it to the seat frame. You could periodically turn back around on the front side, check your work before making some anchor hog rings on each of the corners. Now it's a good idea to anchor all 4 corners before you work your vinyl, and keep periodically checking the front side and the sides while you're wrapping the vinyl. Now if you want to have the professionals at Legendary Auto Interiors do the restoration work for you, give us a call at 1-800-363-8804 or visit our website at www.legendaryautointeriors.com. Now once your corners are all secured, you can move along to the front edge and then the side edges and hog ring them through the cord that's sewn into the seat cover and into the location on the seat frame. Now you want to repeat the process on both sides. If you have to relocate a hog ring, you can cut that hog ring apart and restretch the vinyl and reattach your hog rings like Randy's doing here. And last, you want to fill in between the anchor points in the corner from front to back. And very last, you want to take the rear stretch panel, which is carpeted, fold it over the back side of the seat frame, and hog ring it through the listing area and around the seat springs. After your rear stretch panel is attached, the weld cord that goes around the outside edges of the seats, there's a small tail that hangs over the edge. You want to take that tail and secure that so that doesn't get hung up on your seat rails. Now you want to repeat the process on the opposite side as well. Now that our front seat bottom is all installed, you can see it in the background, looks good. We're going to move on to our front seat top. Now once again, we want to put a layer of burlap over the top of our seat springs, pulling it taut as Randy hog rings it towards the outside perimeter. Now the only difference between the front seat top and the front seat bottom is that the front seat top does not get the 2-inch felt around the outside perimeter. Now you want to be careful and trim off the excess. Carefully fold the edges of burlap around the seat frame and hog ring through the burlap and around the back side of the seat frame. After the edges of burlap are folded and attached, you want to mark the holes that the back panel attaches to. The back panel has door panel clips that clips onto the back side of the front seat top, and you don't want anything to restrict those holes. So you want to carefully, when you're rolling the edge of that burlap over, you want to carefully mark those holes and cut that area out so the door panel clip can pop in that hole freely. You can leave yourself a little bit of excess around the outside edge just in case it does travel a little bit. Now, like we did on our front seat bottom, the insert listing pockets that are sewn into the seat cover, we want to measure the width of those and actually draw the lines on top of the molded foam, measuring from our center out. And on this particular model, you'll notice that it's tapered slightly from the top edge to the bottom edge. And we want to cut down through the molded foam the entire way. You'll see Randy's using a foam saw, but you can use a pair of scissors, a razor blade, or Mom's old carving knife. Now, once the two sides are cut, you want to come up to that top collar and slice that top collar off, because after all, this is a universal foam kit from 1962 to 65, so there are some modifications, as you can see. Now, after our molded foam is all cut, set it on top of our seat springs, draw lines down through the molded foam. This is the location that we're going to attach our paper-coated listing wire. Now, the paper-coated listing wire is bent up on a 90-degree angle on both top and bottom, so it doesn't travel while you're installing your seat covers. Now, securing our molded foam to the seat frame, there's muslin glued to the outside perimeter of our molded foam. Now, if you want to see how to prepare your molded foam, you can get on our website and look at our foam preparation videos. Now, the muslin wraps over the edge of the seat frame and hog rings to the back side of the seat frame. This will keep your molded foam all secure while we're installing our seat covers. And we want to double check our center point on our molded foam. Slide our paper coated listing wire through the seat cover in the pockets that are sewn into the seat cover, and then tuck those pockets down into the channels that we just cut in our molded foam. Position it symmetrically on our molded foam so the seat's not crooked when you install it. And then hog ring the listing pocket with the listing wire in it to the listing wire that's attached to the top side of our burlap. You want to repeat the process on the opposite side. You want to put about 3 to 4 hog rings per side is going to be enough. Now, double check your center portion, make sure everything is lined up symmetrically. And you can see as we peek down through where we made our molded foam, how the hog rings are attached through the pocket and around the listing wire. Our next step will be to carefully wrap the edges of vinyl over the top side of the molded foam and the seat frame and make an anchor point after you carefully wrap one over. You want to come to the other side, compress the molded foam, carefully fold over the edge of vinyl over the top of the molded foam area and the seat frame, and again take a hog ring and anchor it to our seat frame. After the top is anchored, you can carefully work down towards the bottom of the seat, compressing the foam and working your vinyl down towards the bottom side of the seat. This way you won't have any wrinkles in your seat after this is all installed. And the seat covers are very durable, so you can put a little leverage on those while you're installing those. You want to create an anchor point after it's stretched down towards the bottom edge, and then repeat the process on the opposite side. Now, periodically flip your seat cover over on the front side, and you can see how it's going to look pretty much as soon as you're starting. You want to come back up to the corners, and then it's just a question of filling in the top area and along the sides in between your anchor points. Now, keep in mind, some very important steps. You want to keep looking at the front side, flipping it back over, making sure your seat cover is symmetrical, making sure the wrinkles are stress-free on the front side and along the side edges. And if you have to, just like Randy's doing here, you can remove a hog ring, stretch the vinyl a little more, and then reattach it if you have to. After the corners are secured, go in between all those corner anchors and secure the seat cover to the back side of the seat frame. Our last step will be to insert the paper-coated listing wire along the rear stretch panel. There's a small pocket sewn into the seat cover. You want to attach that along the bottom edge of the seat frame, and you can pull your seat cover while you're rolling that edge over so there's no wrinkles. And if there's an area you don't like, you can go back over just like Randy's doing, remove a couple here and there, re-stretch it. You can come back and trim any excess areas of listing that you have off of there, and then go back and reattach those areas. It's important that the top corners all flow smoothly together because the back panel goes over the top of that front seat top, and it has to have a very smooth look where the two meet. We want to assemble our front seat top to our front seat bottom, and this will finish our seat cover installation.
Now that our seat cover is all installed with our new molded foam kit and our installation kit 1, you can see this seat is ready to be bolted into the car. Now if you want to have the professionals at Legendary Auto Interiors do the work for you, give us a call at 1-800-363-8804 or visit our website at www.legendaryautointeriors.com. Now keep in mind, you can use this video as a guideline for installing any 1962 through 1965 A, B, and C body seat. Now I want to thank all the people at Legendary Auto Interiors for making this possible. I want to thank Randy Brown. I want to thank our sponsors. And most of all, I want to thank you. I'm Ron Halbritter for Legendary Auto Interiors. We'll catch you next time.